Today, Sierra and I will explore what it means to be progressive, and if some of those who claim to be progressive candidates truly are what they claim to be. We will dive into the ideologies and beliefs of a true progressive and present them in a way to you that will hopefully make it make sense. Let's get into it.
So there is no single definition of what a progressive is, but there are kind of working definitions. So we'll just go off of this working one. A progressive being someone who wants to see more economic and social equality and views politics as a bottom up progress, very involved with social movements and people power. So that's kind of the baseline from where we want to start this discussion as what a progressive is, because I think there are a lot of candidates who cloak themselves in this language and claim that they are progressive, but then don't hold true to these progressive values and these policies. So I thought it would be
Yeah.
an interesting discussion for us to talk about what we think it means to be a progressive in 2026.
Well, absolutely, because I think there's so much confusion with not just with people who are not really involved in politics or as delegates or candidates or that spectrum. People just don't understand the different labels that are within the Democratic Party now, like centrist or moderates or liberals or progressives, and even democratic socialists is completely misunderstood. So I think it's something that people would like information about. And I'm glad that we're talking about it because this is something that, I don't know if we'll be able to come to a conclusion on exactly what a progressive is, but we sure in hell going to try it at attempting that. So I was glad when you approached me with this topic that this was what we were going to discuss. So it's
I'm
all
just
over the board.
frustrated seeing people say that they are progressive and then they
Mm-hmm.
say things like a livable wage, I think is
Mm-hmm.
something that's just baseline, should be a
Mm-hmm.
progressive value, trying to get to a more just and equitable society. Okay, a livable
Mm-hmm.
wage. So when you say to me, okay, $12, that's not a livable wage. You cannot possibly be a progressive and tell me $12 is where you think that a livable wage is in America today. Like what city, what town, what country, where are you moving in this country that is $12 an hour is going to get you somewhere? Because I'd love to move there. I'd
Yeah.
like to be there because we cannot afford it on $38 an hour. My husband's a mechanic at $38 an hour, and we cannot make ends meet or buy groceries on anything but credit cards. So
Mm-hmm.
like $12 an hour is a livable wage. I get frustrated by this conversation because it feels like 725 is where it has been since I was a child working. Like when I first got my worker's permit, it was 725. Like
Mm-hmm.
20 years later and we are still here. That's insane to me.
Yeah. I did a story on this a while back. Um, or maybe just made some content about it. And I think that the cost of living has increased like 53%. And this was maybe a year or two ago when I did this over what minimum wage has because it hasn't risen. So we have, 2009, I think it was the last time that
Yep.
a livable wage. Yeah, I'm with you. When somebody says something like that, they're out of touch. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What the hell, what are you talking about? And another word that bugs the hell out of me when they say is affordability. Now, I understand we need to talk about how things are affordable, but, to talk about affordability in the context of trying to change things the way they are to make them more affordable is not what I think is a progressive idea. To use that word affordability, you need to revamp the process and the system.
Are you
And
saying
I
it's
think
not good enough to just make my eggs cheaper?
yeah. Tell me how in the hell you're going to do it and what kind of policies or programs are you going to implement in order to make that happen. Don't just
Right.
sit there and talk about it. Yeah, another example, and that, I don't want to jump around everything, but it just keeps coming to your head. ICE, progressive wants ICE abolished. They want it
Absolutely.
stopped. If you
You don't
claim to
want
be a
reform and body cameras? That's not good enough?
Yeah, bullshit on that. I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
and I've seen some people recently talk on other pods where they claim to be progressive, but then they're like, "Okay, well, we need ICE and, we maybe the funding should," no, bullshit. They are an unlawful group of thugs, okay? Most of them are criminals. A lot of them have come from a criminal past. They have no training. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah, and we
Abolish them.
just shortened their training as well to I
Yes,
think
exactly.
47 days just so that it could be the silly 47th president in 47 days. And even like previous or not previous veterans of ICE, longtime serving ICE officers have said 47 days is not enough. This is insane. We are literally bringing on yahoos and we don't know who they are. We're not vetting them and we're giving them 47 days and then handing them a badge and a gun and telling them they are the law. This is
Mhm,
insanity. And when you're like,
mhm.
wow, the calls are coming from inside the house, that's insanity. When their own
Right.
corrupt bullshit organization is saying, hey guys, some corrupt shit is going on.
Mhm,
I mean, reform and body cameras is what you have to talk to me about. And
mhm,
like also like abolishing ICE is something that it's something you can't do. It's just
mhm.
it's not something that they think is feasible.
Right.
This agency hasn't existed forever. Like, this
No.
agency is, like, as old or not even as old as I am. It's younger than me. It
Mhm.
absolutely doesn't have to exist. We could just go back to the way things were before. We could
Right.
also fix immigration. We could do a lot of things that is not just putting masked thugs on our streets to brutalize Americans. Like, this is just our foreign policy population control come home to take care of us. This is what we
Yeah.
learned to do in Fallujah. This is what we learned to do in Iran, in Palestine, so that we're just gonna bring this back home.
Yeah. I've been using this statement or whatever lately, about the stupidity with ICE, and what's happening and what they think ICE is doing in our country because, it's supposed to be about controlling immigration, and ICE stemmed from 9/11. That's when, this agency or this department or branch or whatever, became in existence. So we create ICE because we want to control immigration, yet we have fucking sleeper cells all over our country, and we got Qatar building a fucking military base in Idaho to train their fucking fighter pilots with our fucking planes.
Yes. And we have people from
So,
Africa coming into the country who are
yeah.
also caught doing war crimes in their countries back home. We
Mhm.
absolutely have issues in this country that need addressed, but
Yeah.
instead of focusing on the things we need, which are, data analysts in the Department of Homeland Security, we need more data analysts to look at
Mhm.
the open source intelligence to be able to suss out and see war criminals. Because
Mhm.
absolutely, you do not want a Cameroonian refugee coming into your city who is maybe not a criminal in your community, but is a war criminal back home, they shouldn't be here. And we should have data analysts who can look into that and suss it out. We should have immigration attorneys who are able to look at these things. We should have more people and more infrastructure and fix our immigration that is not just asking, shitty failed high school students who couldn't get a
Right.
better job to come
Right.
and finally have power over people. Like that's because that's who you're
Yeah.
hiring. Who wants to
Yeah.
be an ICE agent in this moment? It's your fucking
Yeah.
high school bully who never felt like they had power and now they get to walk around with a badge and a gun brutalizing people.
Exactly. So, right here, what we just discussed about ICE, that is how a progressive thinks. Okay. These are the thoughts and ideas of a progressive, not a centrist or a moderate. And just to give you an example, in our national government, because that's what most people are familiar with, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, to name a few, are centrists or moderates. They are not progressives. Okay. Progressives would be people like, well, Bernie's a democratic socialist, but Bernie and AOC. But progressives are people that believe in a completely different way of approaching things and doing things. So not, if there's any others that you want to throw in there as far as names that you see as progressives in this country that are doing the work that needs to be done.
I think Ro Khanna's a little progressive. I think that He's not perfect like a Jasmine Crockett, like AOC, not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Right.
Bernie
Nobody
isn't
is.
perfect, but
Exactly.
they are definitely they fall more in line with checking more of these progressive boxes than I
Hmm.
think Hakeem Jeffries or a Chuck Schumer does.
Yeah, they're a
Absolutely.
joke. They're a joke.
Yeah,
They're a
they are.
problem with everything.
Yeah, and also it is a problem if progressives and candidates are being asked, "Would you support Hakeem Jeffries as the leader?" If your answer is not immediate, "No, no."
Yeah. Then
What are
yeah.
we doing here?
Yeah, I think there's a fear of creating or being labeled a divider or creating division. I know that that happens in the party here in Indiana with the Indiana Democratic Party. And this is where I have a problem with how things are viewed because being a progressive and demanding change and speaking up and wanting things to be different than what Indiana has had for the last over 20 some years, you get labeled as being a divider or being divisive. And my take on this is that you are the ones that have created the division because of where you have led us down the last 20 some years. And so in Indiana, and let's talk about, Indiana politics and progressivism in Indiana because we're coming up on this election cycle and we just went through filings and set records in our state that we haven't seen for decades. And we have a lot of candidates and a lot of bullshit that's going on. People are claiming to be progressives. The Indiana Democratic Party is doing strategic moves to try to eliminate some of the progressives in our state, and we got dudes in certain races who are claiming to be progressives, but yet are anything but that. I don't know if there's anyone particular you want to talk about.
I want to talk about the fuckery going on in CD7 because there is a lot of it feels like a three-way competition between shit sandwiches, and I hate to be like
Mhm,
that because, like,
mhm,
Indianapolis, and I know that a lot of people have said this, Indianapolis should by all measures be our shining city on the hill in a red state. We should be able to make Indianapolis so fucking awesome, work so well for the average Hoosier downtown that like it's an affordable place to live. It's a nice place to live. There's good quality public schools. There's nice public transit. That it's a good place to work. It's a good place to come shop and tourist. This city should fucking run so well and be the bastion that we say, look at Indianapolis. If you give Democrats, if you give progressives the chance to run Indiana, the entire state, look at what we could do. Look at Indianapolis. And
mhm,
instead, we take this place for granted and go, no, this is our playground. This is our sandbox. The Republicans,
mhm,
in fact, designed it to be our sandbox. And so we'll just fuck around here and not, we don't have to deliver for people. We can be whatever we want and do corruption and do the same thing they're doing over there in the Republican districts. We'll just do it differently and it'll look blue. So, like, Andre Carson, not perfect. He is the incumbent. And I like that he doesn't take APAC money. I fucking hate that he is someone who takes corporate money. I do not
mhm,
understand how a self-proclaimed Muslim man can take money from Raytheon, Lockheed, Boeing, and he does, AES, Duke, and claim to care about his constituents. Like, that is antithetical to Islam as I understand it. You can't there is like you if you kill one person, you have killed the entirety of humanity. So how you take money from weapons manufacturers, like that's antithetical to your faith. That's strange to me. And so some of these criticisms that, Destiny Wells and George Cornetto are lobbing at him, I think are fair. Taking corporate PAC money is bullshit and it's not very progressive of you. Um, and so that's frustrating. But the problem is that George Hornetto doesn't take corporate money, but he does take money from like Marianne Glick, who gave him 300 or $3,300. Marianne Glick is the chair of the Glick Family Foundation, which also donates to the Jewish Agency for Israel, North America Council, JENIFA. They donated in fall of 2024 money to IDF soldiers in the wake of October 7th. So while you're not taking APAC money and you're not taking corporate money, you are taking pro Israel lobby money. And I think that it is bad faith for these progressives like Destiny, like George, when you say, well, do you take, APAC or Israeli money, pro-Israel money? And they respond with the, I do not take APAC and we do not take corporate money. And for Destiny, who is a lawyer and an ex-intelligence officer, everything she said right there is true. She doesn't take APAC money, but that doesn't include J Street. That doesn't include Marianne Glick. There is a lobby, which is a loose coalition of PACs of wealthy individual donors and their advocacy PACs. So you can technically not take corporate money, but still be taking APAC money because APAC is just an advocacy group and a PAC.
Mm-hmm.
So these people are pro-Israel, but they're attacking Andre Carson. So it feels like a shit sandwich for people in CD7. You're either going to prop up the incumbent who doesn't take APAC money, doesn't take pro-Israel lobby money, but does take corporate money. Or you're going to take Destiny Wells or George Hornetto, who doesn't take corporate money, but they are going to take pro-Israel lobby money. They do, and they have already they skirt around, will they take APAC money? I think Destiny said she will not or has not. I believe her words were has not at this time and does not know there to be any in CD7. That's quite a different thing than just outright saying absolutely not, that will be returned immediately.
Right, which is something like a candidate, Jackson Franklin, who is absolutely progressive, comes
Absolutely.
flat out and says every time he's asked that question. And that's a great way to show people exactly, who they
Yes.
are and what they believe, so
Yes, and he is also
answers mean everything.
unapologetically comes out and says things like abolish ICE and no war with Iran. When you're
Mhm,
talking to these progressives, and again,
mhm,
Destiny is one of them, who,
mhm,
when you ask about the war with Iran, they will come straight up to the line of saying no war and they won't hit it. They'll just do the Hakeem Jeffries where they're like, well, Iran is a bad actor, but I don't like the way Trump did it. We should get congressional authorization for use of
yeah,
military force. And you're like,
yeah,
right. So you just told me you don't mind war. You mind the process of how we did it. You don't like the president unilaterally deciding war, which I agree. That is
mhm,
problematic. The
yeah,
Constitution, I believe
absolutely,
in it too, right?
mhm,
We all believe
mhm,
in it. But
yep,
I think that a progressive is someone who understands that war is a bloody and costly affair, and we should not be asking our sons and daughters to fight for nothing. That when we ask them to go and put their ass on the line, we should absolutely be asking them for a reason that matters. There should
mhm,
be a threat to America. There is no threat to America from Iran, right?
mhm,
The Ayatollahs, the mullahs, they did not have their sights set on in America. They don't
mm-mm,
want anything to do with us. In fact, they wish that we would leave them alone. Most of that region wishes we would leave them alone. And we want the same largely. We don't wanna mess with them. We just wanna continue to try to feed our families, afford a house, have a good job, vacation once in a while. Like, we don't want this. And so to hear Democrats right now doing the lead up to Iraq war, where they're like, "Oh, I don't know. I think we should rally around the flag. We should rally around this idea. War is, yeah, hoorah." You're all getting because you're all taking APAC money. You're all taking pro-Israel money. You're all taking money from, Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Boeing. So of course, Democrat, Republican, you're all going to fall in line. You might not like that the president unilaterally decided to go into war, but you're all going to fall in line when it comes down to taking a congressional vote because you guys are pro-war. And when someone like Destiny, who claims to be the progressive in the race, says in an interview, I am part of the war machine,
yeah,
I know veterans. I've talked
yeah,
to a lot of veterans, and Jackson Franklin is a veteran. I've talked to a
mhm,
lot of veterans, and when I talk to them, they're mostly that most of the time they will tell me they will put it down on the line for their brothers in their combat, right? In their unit because that's their fellow American. But what they were sent to do in Iraq and Afghanistan was fucking ridiculous. I had a
mhm,
friend who was based in Kuwait, and he just was like, "I don't understand why I was there. We don't understand why we were there or what our purpose really was or why they were asking us to sacrifice, our lives for this. Not just, risking death because you are, but you're also taking yourself out of civilian life. You're taking yourself away from the ability to start a family, to build a life, to get a job, to have a house. So you're putting your own life on pause to protect the citizens and to protect your country. That is an amazing thing. And we should be asking our sons and daughters to do that for reasons that are not to protect or to help the hegemony of a fucking foreign country, because
Right.
that's not what they signed up to do. And to have
Yeah.
a progressive tell me that that is the progressive stance, that she's part of the war machine and that we should just ask Congress to start the war, that to me says everything I need to know about whether or not you're a progressive. The answer is no. Otherwise, you'd be
Yeah.
like Jackson Franklin going, "No, fuck that. We don't need another war."
Yeah, exactly. And that's a perfect example of someone who calls themselves a progressive, but then doesn't speak like one, you know. And I want to just touch on something you said that Hakeem and others have said about Iran being a bad actor. I wonder if we took a global poll and asked people who are the bad actors in the world today, where would we be?
One or two,
Yeah,
US and Israel or Israel and US, but
yeah.
right there. Uh-huh, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, and Russia would be right there, and China
Oh,
would. I
yeah,
mean,
for sure.
we would absolutely be in the top 5, if not top 2. But that's what blows my mind. You want to call them a bad actor? What are we doing? I mean, we. I mean, just the verbiage that we've heard in the last couple of days about Cuba.
Mhm.
What the fuck is going on? I mean,
Did you hear
and
Marco
so
Rubio is gonna be the viceroy?
yeah, it's and so then here, getting back to Indiana, we got all these people running for candidates or running for office now who are candidates who are out there spewing this bullshit, but you could tell just by listening to them, they're going to fall right into the moderate machine and the centrist machine that's been cranking out failures for our party for a long time. And
Yeah.
it just, it's like, when is it, how can we make this stop? How can we, and the only thing I know how to do or what to do is to call these people out when we see them saying that they're grassroots and say, no, you're not. You don't understand. Bo Bai is a perfect example. Now, I think he's backed off of it a little bit, but he from the beginning was talking about being grassroots and taking $100,000 donations from not
Right.
corporations, from corporate dudes. Okay.
Right.
And, just like you explained a little bit ago, you have to look at the people. What's their association in the business world and in the political world? Who have they
Exactly.
donated to before? What does their company do? What do they, lobby for? What are their
Exactly.
beliefs? Who do they support? And then that's when you can define that's not a grassroots dude. But I think he has backed off of that a little bit because he is anything but a grassroots candidate. But that's a whole nother. We've talked about him enough already. But um,
George Hornetto also is in
yeah,
CD7, and he
right.
is also someone who says things like, he is not Israel funded, he doesn't take any money from the Israel lobby. That man is so pro-Israel that he once had a Middle East policy page on his website. He has since taken that down. Um,
Hmm.
in case he's watching, because he blocked me on Facebook, because I pester him
He
about it.
blocks a lot of people that
He
talk
blocks a
about
lot
it.
of people,
Yeah.
so I've been blocked on Facebook, TikTok, and I believe also Twitter.
Hmm.
But, uh, the
Good for
Wayback
you.
Machine exists, guy, like, the Wayback Machine exists, so if you have the URL, all I had to do was put it into the Internet Archive, and I can see that you wrote about the Iranian threat. He wrote, "Iran, remains the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism and poses an
Yeah.
existential threat to Israel." Through Hezbollah, Hamas, and other proxies, Iran has fueled instability and conflicts in pursuit of nuclear weapons that must be stopped. This aged like milk. I support a maximum pressure strategy combining sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and strategic containment. Any future agreement on Iran's nuclear program must guarantee permanent, viable dismantlement of nuclear capabilities and end support for terrorist groups. He has taken that down, and I bet he will not defend that stance. But that was that man's stance at one point in time, and you are lying to yourself if you say that that is not still his stance. His entire
Eh,
Middle East page is just on how to build stronger relationships with the United States and Israel through economic sanction or economic partnerships and rejecting anti-Semitism on campuses. That's what he cares about.
If I didn't know that that was written by Georgie Porgy, I would have swore to God that that was written by someone like Mike Johnson.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
that is anything but progressive.
Yep.
That is so Republican like. Uh, and what are we starting to call people like Georgie Porgy, Republican lights? You know, uh, I mean, that's just crazy. And for him to stand there, I mean, I think, Sierra, this is something I struggle with. Do they really think that people are that stupid and don't pay attention, and that's why they lie like they do, or are they the ones that are really that fucking stupid and don't realize the lies that they are telling? I guess if I could find the answer to that question, I'd be able to, you know, I don't know, have a vacation home. I mean, yeah, it's
Uh-huh,
crazy.
buy a lottery ticket, uh-huh, because you must
Yeah.
be able to make some
I
serious
mean,
predictions.
because dudes like him that's just nuts.
Mhm.
He's not progressive. He is definitely taking money that is dirty, whether it's from APAC is another, that's, let's not even discuss that. You are taking money that flows through APAC people. Okay. So, yeah.
And
So yeah, that,
he was a treasurer on a I can't remember what the PAC is called, but he sat as the treasurer with Rachel Simon, who is a, granddaughter of Herbert and, Melvin Simon. Herbert Simon is the one who's still alive, but the Simon Property Foundation,
mhm.
obviously everybody knows who that is in Indiana.
In
Um,
Indiana.
they
Yeah.
are a huge donor to APAC, to the Democratic Majority for Israel, and to other Republicans, some Democrats as well. But money doesn't really care about your party, right? Like money just cares about your position. So Republican,
Exactly.
Democrat, Independent, they don't care. If you have a price to buy, they will buy you as long as they can
Hmm.
have someone who is friendly to them and will help them out, like Mayor Hogg said. So
Yeah,
that's
because the Simons are
yeah.
Democrats, or they follow the Democratic
Yes.
Party and label themselves as Democrats, but they're corporate elitists who have
Yes.
made billions off of. I think their main source of income for years was shopping malls, and then of
Yes.
course they have branched into other things. Of course, their biggest one. Circle Center Mall just closed down. But I'm sure it hasn't had effect for that. That's probably a positive thing for them to be able to close it down, because it was probably a money drain for them. But
Yeah, and they
so,
just destroyed Marion County Jail 1 to build the new fever training center
training
that's
center,
huge. So it'll
yeah.
be very lucrative for them. So yeah, they're not
Yeah,
losing any
so they're
sleep or any
branching
money.
into, yeah,
Yeah,
they're branching into other endeavors, which,
yeah,
billionaires always do. But
always
their
do.
money was basically made through shopping malls and things like that when those were popular, which they've
Mhm.
fallen to the wayside now. But yeah, so when you talk about progressives and people that claim to be progressives, so many of them are just far off the scale and are not who they are claiming to be. And I think they've latched onto the title because they understand the popularity that is growing in the progressive movement in this country, and so I think that's why a lot of them are saying that. And I also think that they're calling themselves progressive because they think that being progressive is just wanting to make change or something. I mean, and it goes much deeper than that. But
That
I
makes
don't
more
know.
sense than anything I can think of because
Yeah.
my my sinister black-pilled version is, no, they're just all assholes. They're all assholes who see they've stuck their finger out and they can tell the way the wind's blowing, and people are pissed off at the establishment. And so,
Hmm.
yes, naturally populists are gonna win, progressives are gonna win. And I hope that it's more left populists than right-wing populism. That's dangerous. But I
Exactly.
do see that there is a progressive and populist wind coming, and I think that people like a Destiny Wells or a George Hornetto, while might be progressive in some area or another, don't check enough of these boxes, and I think they're feeling the winds and seeing which way it's blowing and hoping it'll blow their ass into office, and that is unfortunate. And I think that it's really important in this moment that real progressives, that us real progressives, suss these people out, because you want to know, is this a Kirsten Sinema who came in saying she was a Democrat, she's for the For the women, she's a girl's girl, cares about reproductive health. That woman has sold out every value she ever fucking had for a
Yeah,
dollar. So,
exactly.
like, are you a Zoran Mamdani? Are you going to come in and show us what real progressive policies look like? Paying people $30 an hour to plow snow in New York? I mean, it worked. It worked. You paid
Mhm.
people a respectable, livable wage, and look how fast they asses got on the street with a shovel, and we're out there
Yeah,
ready to do it. So,
yeah,
like, these progressive policies can work. We need
yeah,
to make sure that we are seeing people for either being a Zoran Mamdani or making sure that you're not a Kirsten Sinema. Because if we elect people that you promise to be a progressive in CD7 and you don't turn out for us, that is going to have ripple effects for progressives moving forward who want to take CD7 because we will have been burned by this. We're not going
mhm.
to trust you. Continue to trust people who say, I'm progressive. And then you get in there and you move further to the center. Like, what is this ideology or this notion that you're going to be as leftist and progressive as you can so that when you finally get to Congress and you move closer to the middle, you'll just be a centrist versus someone who
Yeah.
goes in as a centrist and now you'll be a Republican. Like, what is that logic? Why are you expecting that when I send your ass to Congress as a progressive, why would I be expecting that you're going to move to the center? Yes, you need to build coalitions. Yes, you need to try to bring people together onto your legislation. I don't think that means you compromise on your fucking values, Kirsten
Yeah, but
Sinema.
I think that's what people think. I think that's where these centrist people in this state talk consistently about, and we know some people who are very good at it. They talk about working with those on the other side to try. Fuck that right now. That's not where we are at right now. And if that's the mindset that you're going to have, I don't have trust in you. And so when I hear a progressive call them, or when I hear a candidate call themselves progressive, but yet I listen to what they're saying, it throws caution in the wind. And I know I get this feeling when I listen to them. Okay, you're saying what you need to say right now in order to try to get elected, but I can guarantee you, if you get in position, you're not going to go on the left anymore. You're going to go more to the center. And that's what scares the hell of me. That's why when I listen to people like Victoria Martz and Jackson Franklin, who are both steadfast progressives, yet have a completely different approach. Victoria is much, she's a lawyer, okay? She's a
She's the people's
professional.
lawyer.
Yes, and she knows how to present things without Victoria would never want to start an argument with anyone, but she will stand there and have a discussion with you and put you in your place. Jackson, on the other hand, he's going to hit you right in the face with it. That's his approach, and he's very good at it. But you know exactly where both of them stand just by listening to them, and you have faith in who they are and that they're going to stay within their values and they are not going to sway from them. And those are the kind of candidates that we have to have and that we have to support, and we have to seek out. And all these other ones, we got to throw them to the wayside. And our friend Tabitha, she's another progressive that has joined the race, and you will be able to listen to her on many podcasts and interviews, and she's going to be the same way. She's unapologetic about how she stands and what she believes in, and she doesn't hold back one iota when it comes to letting people know where she stands, and that's one of the things I admire about her. So, that's it's a big difference. You have to listen to what people say. Words mean a lot. Actions, of course,
Words mean a lot.
speak loud, but words mean a lot, and you gotta listen to how they present them and what they're saying on the certain issues that are brought up. And we just used ICE as one of them, but there are many of them when it comes to healthcare and SNAP and all of these things. If they're not dead fast, no, SNAP should be funded, healthcare should be universal. I mean, those are the kind of ideologies and verbiage that we need to listen or hear from candidates who truly are progressive. So
And just last thing really quickly, because I know we gotta go, but
right.
I just think that when you call yourself a progressive and you are progressive at home, domestically and domestic policies, but your progressivism does not extend to foreign policy, think you're not
Mhm.
a progressive. And I think
No.
that people need to see and understand that foreign policy and domestic policy are not worlds apart. They are the same thing. What you do in the foreigns on a foreign stage, on the international stage, will come home to you. There is a boomerang effect. And there is an opportunity cost. When you are a progressive that supports the war machine and imperialist bullshit, you are taking money directly away from the progressive domestic policies that you claim to care about. You cannot possibly invest in affordable housing. Ending homelessness would take $20 billion in America. We are spending more than that right now in Iran. We've spent
Hmm.
$21 trillion since 2001 just on the war on terror globally. We could have ended homelessness. We could have given healthcare to our people. We could do universal pre-K. We could do childcare. You cannot claim these progressive domestic values and then send our money abroad to kill people. That's not
Yeah.
progressive.
But we know all of these things that they talk about that are bankrupting our economy and our government are all bullshit. We know what's bankrupting our government, and it sure in the hell isn't policies and agencies and funding for to help people. Because when you start looking at the big picture, that's a small amount compared to some of the other bullshit that we do for other countries and for the millionaires in this nation of ours. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and rule of the rich is killing the world. I mean, I think it was Martin Luther King Jr. who said it. We have one struggle, but multiple theaters. We are all
yeah,
fighting this same fight, this rule of the rich that is killing us. It is driving income inequality. It is driving racism. It is driving the economic or the ecological disaster, the environmental crisis. Rule of the rich. They are literally killing us. And it is time that the workers of the world unite. I know that's so lame and cliche, but it's true. We are
it's
one
true.
struggle, many theaters.
And on that note, from two very progressive individuals from the state of Indiana, we want to thank you for watching our pod. We appreciate your support. Please subscribe to our channel, give us a like, and drop a comment. Start a conversation with us. And remember, we are three Hoosiers who are just trying to make it make
Make it
sense.
make sense.
See you next time.